So, Hogwarts Legacy, the smash hit of 2023, the best selling game of the year, a game that is undoubtedly going to go down as one of the probably top 10, top 15 best selling games of all time, and one of my favorite games of 2023 as well. So, it's getting a sequel, and this was reported on by Insider Gaming. And I got the article right here. I'll read over real quick with you all. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is now in production at Warner Brothers Games, the studio confirmed on Tuesday. The news comes via Variety. According to the report, the sequel to the best-selling game of 2023 is a very big priority for those at Warner Bros. As far as what the focus of the next game will be, Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment president David Haddad says it will coordinate story elements with the upcoming HBO series. He notes that the success of Hogwarts Legacy helped stoke confidence that the time was right to make a major Potter push. The rest of the company was very curious about what we helped to unlock with Hogwarts Legacy last year, the report reads. And later here in the article, it says, as far as the original Hogwarts Legacy game, there's still more to come. Insider Gaming first reported in October that a definitive edition of the game was in development that will include 10 to 15 hours of additional content. So, Hogwarts Legacy 2, it is on the way. I wonder how the hardcore Hogwarts fans feel about it being kind of tied to those upcoming movies. I feel like the freshness of Hogwarts kind of being its own thing, its own standalone story, I think that was really appealing, especially for someone like me who's not a Harry Potter fan, not a Hogwarts. Like, I'm probably not gonna watch the upcoming movies. I would rather just get that information through the game. I would rather just be in the worlds of those games, without the pre-existing ties to anything outside of the games. There's still the ties where it's you're obviously you're talking about the Hogwarts, the Hogsmeade, all the locations and shit like that, all the classes. But in terms of, I don't want to have to know the events of the movie to be able to follow along with the events of the game. But once again, I'm not a Harry Potter guy. Like, I never watched any of the movies before playing the game. So I wonder how the hardcore, Harry Potter, Hogwarts universe fans feel about it being tied to the upcoming films. But yeah, man, I don't necessarily trust WB with their gaming division as of late. When you see what they threw Rocksteady on with Suicide Squad and just totally butchering, I shouldn't say butchering the reputation of Rocksteady. I think Rocksteady, if they did put out a single player Batman game, which those are the rumors right now that they're working on a single player Batman game, I think that people would be eager to jump back in. But that's the thing, is all those service elements, and WB in that recent report where they're like, yeah, we're still committed to the live service market. And it's like, dude, you just hope that WB doesn't go and service this game to the nines, service elements just pouring out of Hogwarts Legacy 2. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna figure out a way to hold these 30 million players captive that buy the game, and if we can get $15 per skin for those 30 players, and then sell all 30 players a $20 mount, and then all those businessman suit and tie calculations that are going on in those boardroom meetings, you hope that that's not taking place right now. I mean, it is taking place to some degree, but you hope that cooler heads will prevail, and then the wisdom will be like, hey, let's not rock the boat too much. We just had the best-selling game of 2023. Let's not fuck that up and go and create a bunch of needless content that people don't want for Hogwarts Legacy 2. Like, let's go with what worked for the first game and just make it bigger and more expansive and more refined. I do think co-op is interesting, like drop in co-op, where, you can do story missions together, or like Hogwarts 1 was a pretty easy game. So maybe having some more challenging bosses or some, bigger camps to take down, and you do that with some buddies, and there's some cool things that could be done in that regard. But full on live service, just nickel and diming the shit out of the player, or having that as like the built-in model for Hogwarts 2, I think you would kill a lot of the hype almost instantly as soon as it was announced as a service game, or people saw service elements in Hogwarts 2 in a trailer for Hogwarts 2 or in a gameplay reveal or whatever the case may be. I think people would be instantly put off of that. So hopefully that's not the path that they're going to take. But yeah, I think that, you look at that Quidditch game that released earlier this year, which I wasn't crazy about it, but there were some cool mechanics in there. And I don't think that Quidditch game really set the world on fire. Like, I don't think it sold gangbusters or anything. So you throw some Quidditch mechanics, you allow Quidditch to be in Hogwarts too. I think that would be a big expansive feature that people would be hyped to jump in. And maybe that's a cool way to integrate multiplayer, where you have your created player, you pick a role on the Quidditch field, and you get to take your actual multiplayer into these or you get to take your actual created player into these multiplayer Quidditch arenas and take part in the game with other actual people. And so there's a lot of cool ways you could do multiplayer in a Hogwarts 2. And just, I think that if Quidditch, if that standalone game didn't sell all that well, probably better off just throwing it in Hogwarts 2 than trying to make a Quidditch 2 and a Quidditch 3 and then keeping that going as a standalone thing. Might as well just incorporate it into Hogwarts Legacy 2. A thing for me, just on a very personal, like something I would really like to see, is a little bit more agency in the narrative, where they had those dialogue options in Hogwarts, but it was like very dialogue decisions. It wasn't like you're making a real huge impact on the story or anything like that. I would love to see them travel down that road a little bit more and then go into that avenue a little bit deeper and explore how you could maybe role play a little bit better in this universe of the story, reacting to what you're doing and maybe being a little bit more evil, and embracing some of those elements. I think would have been super fucking cool for Hogwarts. And so yeah, there's a lot that could be expanded upon, and I'm interested to see how they pull it all off. With thinking once again back to that multiplayer of the base game needing to be pretty. You need to make the game pretty easy, because it's going to appeal to such a wide audience. You're talking about 30 million copies sold. You're talking about people who have never played a video game in their life, but they just love Harry Potter, so they want to jump into Hogwarts. This is one of those very few games that is like a legitimate system seller. You know what I mean? You don't have many games out there. You have your Grand Theft Autos, you have your NCAA footballs, and this is in that pantheon of like, oh yeah, people will go out and buy a system for this game. And if I'm not mistaken, was Hogwarts, did it launch on PS5 and PS4 at the same time? Or was it PS5 first and then came to PS4 later? But regardless, if this thing comes out and it's only available on a PlayStation 5, a Series X, and then obviously a nice, well-built PC, then I do think this is one of those unit movers. This is one of those system sellers. So that's kind of the thing where, what does the release date look like for Hogwarts in general? Is this going to even launch Hogwarts 2? Will it even launch in the PS5 lifecycle? Where Hogwarts 1 came out in 2023, you imagine, I mean, that game took forever to build, but this thing the foundation is already there. So maybe 4 years or so. And then we're in 2024 now. So 2028, that's going to supposedly be the cutoff for when we head towards the PlayStation 6, which I wouldn't be surprised if this console lifecycle lasted a little bit longer. But yeah, I mean, at that point, it would definitely be only on a PS5. But the weird thing is, could it be an early PlayStation 6, like a launch window PlayStation 6 title? And yeah, so just interesting to think about when this thing could release and have another huge impact on the console market, where people are going out and buying PS5s for Hogwarts 1, and then when Hogwarts 2 releases, people are going out and buying PlayStation 6s just to play that one game. That's the type of impact that this is a cultural phenomenon. This is a real, one of the best selling games of all time already. I think it'll end up going down as easily somewhere in that top 10 best selling games ever made. So excited to see more on it. I imagine it's going to be a ways out before we see any reveal for this thing or anything like that. But yeah, I don't think it'll obviously not take nearly as long as the first game, because they do have a solid foundation to work with off of Hogwarts 1. So Avalanche, breakout studio of the year in 2023. Just what a transition from going, from the Cars games and Disney Infinity to this humongous open world third person action RPG experience. And shout out to you. I underestimated the shit out of that studio. They proved me wrong, and they proved that they are a hit factory. And that's the thing as well, just like looking at the future of WB Games and trying to figure out, like, it's so confusing to me where they have so many bankable IP, but they seem to make so many wrong moves with like a Suicide Squad and a Gotham Knights, and then they leave themselves in such a strange position to crawl out of, where it's like, yeah, how about just throw Rocksteady on the thing that Rocksteady is good at, which, like we talked about, hopefully they are off working on a single-player Batman game. And, let's put NetherRealm on a new Injustice game. Mortal Kombat 1 just released. Let's go all hands on deck for a new Injustice game. Let's get that Wonder Woman game out. Let's not throw any live service elements into that Wonder Woman game. How about we go and try to figure out how to make a Superman game, license this out to somebody to make a Superman game. I don't think, there's all it's impossible to make a Superman game. It's never been done well. It's like, dude, you can make a fucking Superman game. Come on. You can make a Superman game. And when you have that many IP under your belt, I mean, they own Lego. So they got the Horizon game on the horizons, which I don't think that's going to do gangbusters sales, but yeah, they own the, if I'm not mistaken, they own the creators of the Lego games. So there were also the rumors of that Lego NFL game back in the day. I guess nothing ever came to fruition with that, but I would have really liked to have seen that. Where we got that wild card football game. Anyways, I'm rambling like crazy at this point, but yeah, the future of WB Games is going to be something really interesting to follow along with. They also own Techland, if I'm not mistaken. They own Dying Light, so they have a lot of bankable shit. It's so weird how they're flailing so much when it's like, dude, y'all got a lot going on here. You had the best selling game of 2023. You have some absolute hit factory studios under your belt. Like, figure this shit out. But yeah, anyways, I'm rambling at this point, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is on the way. I am damn excited to see more on it. Imagine it'll be, a couple years before we even see the thing revealed, but excited to know it is on the way.